There are a lot of potential great songs out there, with beautiful lyrics, some great arrangements, and even interesting harmonic solutions. However, they often lack one crucial element: a great melody. That's a shame because the melody is the element of our song that sticks in the head of the listener. If you want those people to start humming your tunes while they're taking a shower or dusting their homes or taking the dog out for a walk, you have to write a balanced and interesting melody. It should be balanced and quite simple. Otherwise, people will not be able to remember it, sing it along, or enjoy it. At the same time, it shouldn't be too repetitive or too basic. Otherwise, it won't stand out. As a songwriter, your goal is to get people excited about your music. Using melodies to achieve this goal is a great life skill. Now, I did write some very bad melodies in my life, so I've been there before. I know how easy it is to just go with the lazy solution instead of working hard on a more interesting or creative motive. The opposite is also true. It is so easy to start overdoing it, finding yourself with bold tunes that also sound pretty ugly. The following tips come from a lot of hard work and trial and error. I hope you find them useful for your songwriting. Welcome, people. I'm Nicole, an independent singer and songwriter from Italy. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. My goal on this channel is to help you write better songs. Am I doing it right? If you have any questions, feedback, or if you want to suggest a topic for another video, feel free to express yourself in the comment section. Need further help with your songwriting? Check the link in the description box to subscribe to my mailing list. You will receive a few freebies that will help you in your songwriting journey, as well as a weekly newsletter on various topics about having a career as an independent musician. Now, let's go ahead with the video. Tip number 1. Add some rhythmic variations. When talking about melodies, we tend to concentrate on the pitch rather than on the rhythm, but both of these elements are essential. A melody is a combination of them both. That's why altering the rhythm while maintaining the pitches where they are can change the melody in quite a drastic way. I learned this in a jazz singing class. My teacher was introducing me to improvisation, and she said, your first attempt at improvising over a theme should be focused on the rhythm. Don't change the pitch, but try adding some triplets here and there, a bigger rest, or try an upbeat onset when it should be on a downbeat. To make your tune a bit more interesting without going too crazy with the intervals you use, try adding some rhythmic variations. Is there any spot where you could experiment a bit more with rhythm? Let's make an example. Another one, Bites the Dust by Queen. That bass riff at the beginning, which is the hook of the song and the foundation for the melody in the verse, is extremely simple. It is basically the repetition of the tonic, E. The whole section develops around 3 notes, E, G, and A. What makes it so catchy and memorable is the rhythmic pattern, combined, of course, with the right drum beat. You could also consider rhythmical changes as a strategy to add variation throughout your melody. Maybe you could stick with simpler rhythmic forms in the first verse and then slightly change things in the second verse, for example through syncopation. Tip number 2. Find a nice balance between repetition and variation. Songwriting is often just a matter of balancing these two elements, repetition and variation. There is no right or wrong recipe, to be honest. Some great songs are quite repetitive. Some other great songs have a lot of variety instead. In both cases, the secret was finding the right spot, the right balance between new and familiar elements. A melody can be seen as a group of consequent sections. By creating just 3 or 4 sections and combining them in the right way, you could end up with a nice balanced melody. Let's make an example using a song we are all more than familiar with, Happy Birthday. The easy yet effective melody for Happy Birthday consists of only 4 sections. Section A and A1, when we sing the first 2 Happy Birthday to You, are very similar. The only difference between them lies in the last 2 notes, C and B first, and then D and C. Section B has quite a different motive, with a different rhythm. We don't have a closure with the half note in this case, and a different scheme of intervals too. The opening, however, is still the same, with the 2 repeated G notes. Section C closes it all, with a different opening and the resolution over the tonic, which is the note C. In any contemporary popular song, we also have repeated elements that are balanced out by new elements. If you are struggling to get melodic ideas for your songs, start by repeating the little beats you already have. Then play around with them, as in Happy Birthday. Go a whole step up in a certain spot. Try an arpeggio instead of a scale. Get creative. Tip number 3, play with dynamics. In classical music, composers fix dynamics down on paper. Certain notes are designed to be executed at a very loud volume, and some others instead very softly. You can find these indications right on the staff. In pop music, we are not usually that strict and precise, but it still makes sense to consider dynamics when writing a melody. When we have wider intervals in our melody, or when we plan a richer arrangement in specific sections of our songs, we'll have more energy there, or in other words, a stronger dynamic. With smaller intervals or quieter sections, we'll have less energy. Playing with dynamics, altering stronger and weaker sections, is a great way to add variety to your song. It is also a very important aspect to consider when laying down your structure. We'll talk about this in the next tip. Tip number 4, consider structure. Your melody should ideally guide your listener throughout a journey. You start somewhere, you have a peek around, you take a certain path, you start climbing up the mountain. When you get to the top, you enjoy the fresh air for a bit, and then you slowly come back down and bring everybody home. Sure, you could also start at the top of the mountain, or you could start at the middle of the path. It doesn't matter. What matters is that your song has a certain structure, with nicely planned dynamics, some movement, and some resting spots. For example, we could start from the verse. We have an easy-peasy melody going on right there, not too crazy, actually quite plain and predictable. We repeat it once more, but this time we slightly changed the ending. This little change serves as a step forward towards our bridge, which is quite different. If the verse was a bit static, in the bridge we finally get going. We are walking towards our top of the mountain, and the top, of course, is reached during the chorus. That's where everything is louder, more exciting, more memorable, and catchier. Then we could go back to the verse, but maybe this time our melody is an octave higher. This is a great and simple solution to add even more variety to our melody. After this verse, we decide it's time to change our path. So we get to our middle 8, a new section. The middle 8 could be considered as a sort of alter ego of our verse. Its evil twin, or its best friend. The choice is really up to you. After this encounter with our evil twin, anyhow, we want to go back home. So we take our old path and go back to our verse. After all that walking, we need a good resting spot. Great composers always pay a lot of attention to the structure of a song. Without that, we wouldn't have much going on. No great movement, no great journey, no great walk towards the peak of the mountain. If you feel your melodies are not that interesting, try adding another section, such as an additional verse, but this time with a little change. Maybe you could go an octave above or do a modulation. Or try taking something out. Sometimes we try too hard. We keep adding verses, sections, new elements, when all we need is just to make things a bit simpler. Once again, this choice depends on you, so choose wisely. Tip number 5, write for yourself. I know this sounds cheesy, but you won't get better at writing melodies if you're too concentrated on pleasing the listener. You are the composer, but spoiler alert, you are also a listener, so you know what you love, what you hate, what moves you, what makes you dance, and so on. Trust your guts. Write the melodies that move you or get you excited. Don't think about impressing another random person. If you are authentic, people will feel it and get excited about your music too. Alright people, I hope these 5 tips were useful. Let me know in the comments. Let me know if you want me to treat any particular topic in the next videos. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you enjoyed this video for more content like this. And in the meantime, happy songwriting! Rock on! Ciao!